Hey everyone, it's December 29th, and that means that if today's your birthday, you share with Russian serial killer and necrophiliac Sergei Vasilyevich Ryakhovsky, known as the Hippopotamus, who murdered 19 victims in the 1980s and 90s. And that is him, right over there. And I'd like to apologize for my terrible Russian pronunciation. Ryakhovsky was born in the greater Moscow area in 1962 and grew up to be a large man at 6 feet 6 inches and 280 pounds. He didn't have many friends and had a bad time in school, often being picked on due to being the fat kid, and his school ignored his bullying, doing nothing to stop it. After beginning to have visions and hear strange voices as a teenager, Ryakhovsky clearly had some issues that needed to be addressed that were simply ignored. He later claimed that Soviet schooling led to his abhorrent behavior, since they didn't view him and his problems as an individual and did nothing to help. Regardless of the cause, his violent criminal behavior started in 1982 when he felt what he later said was an irresistible desire for intimacy with a woman and attempted to sexually assault several elderly women in eastern Moscow. He was arrested and sentenced to prison for hooliganism and served 4 years behind bars. After his release, he found work at a factory and moved in with his parents, but soon began attacking people once again, amping up his crimes to murder beginning in 1988. His first kill was a gay man who he strangled to death, and then quickly killed 3 more men in a similar fashion in a local park. He later claimed to have a mission to cleanse the world of homosexuals and prostitutes, but his actions don't support that since the majority of his victims were elderly women. Ryakhovsky had 19 known victims, of which 12 were older women, and he mostly stabbed or strangled them before mutilating their bodies, especially in the genital region. Some victims showed sign of necrophilia. As his crimes continued, he ramped up his abuse of their corpses. One of his last victims was a 78-year-old man who he decapitated, then returned to the scene the next day to amputate his leg as well, and he once used fireworks to blow open the stomach of a 65-year-old woman he had strangled to death. His second to last victim, a 16-year-old boy, was hanged and dressed like an animal, much in the same way a deer hunter would treat a carcass. As the bodies piled up, the police put together a task force determined to track the perpetrator down. Some victims who managed to escape gave a good description of their assailant, but for some reason the police had a hard time tracking down someone who stood out with his giant stature, and many believe they just didn't take the case seriously enough. In 1993, investigators found a shack with a noose hanging from the ceiling near where a body had been found, and thought it might be preparation for the killer and set a trap. Ryakhovsky turned up at the shack and was arrested, after which he confessed to 19 murders and even led authorities to crime scenes and bodies they had yet to discover. Russian media gave him the nickname the Hippopotamus due to his large size. Psychiatrists deemed him sane to stand trial, upon which he recanted his confession, indicating that he had hoped to be sent to a mental hospital rather than face the death penalty. He was found guilty and sentenced to death by firing squad, but in 1996 the death penalty was abolished and his sentence was commuted to life in prison. Ryakhovsky developed tuberculosis in 2004 and died behind bars in January of 2005. If this is your birthday, I hope you have a great day. Leave me a comment so I can wish you a happy birthday. If you know someone whose birthday it is today, send them this video so they can find out all about their birthday twin. And to Sergei Vasilyevich Ryakhovsky, I say, happy birthday, you bastard.